Yes. Hi, can everybody hear me? Like there or? Okay, well, thanks everyone for coming. I'm MK. My name is Misc, but everybody calls me MK, or I just prefer everybody call me MK. It's much easier to present and speak about. Well, I'm from Singapore, so it's probably my second time here to be presenting about Tyk, our open source gateway. I'm a pre-sales architect, solutions architect using Tyk Singapore. And hopefully you guys enjoy the talk, learn a little bit about our open source solutions, and hope to see you again. So today's menu is going to be four quick sessions, four quick sections. It'll be just quick introductions about us, what we do as a startup. I'll explain it in a very layman manner because the first thing that everybody asks me is how do you pronounce TYK, right? Second thing is what do you do, right? And then probably the next thing I'll share is a slightly deeper dive because I think most of the folks here today are kind of technical. I just hope most of you are technical. And then we'll do a quick Q&A, probably last 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you have any excess time around that. So, a warm welcome. Hello from Tyk. So, TYK is pronounced as Tyk, not Tyk, not Tyk, whatever kind of stuff around there. That's why I get a lot from the region. So we are actually an API management startup. We started forming like in 2014, but then it's not until 2016 that we actually got launched as a company. So we're kind of, I think, less than 10 years old. I think from date itself, we are probably like about 8 years old. We are headquartered in London, but we do have a regional office here in Singapore, so that's where I'm based in. We're kind of like a small team. We've gone through two rounds of funding, and we've got everybody here that you can see, right? So aside from my boss that you can see over there in the middle, right? We're just a really small team, 6 people covering the region, for the solutions perspective. So I'm largely technical. I was actually here for some of like some meetings, and then I thought maybe we should just do a talk here today. I'll skip this one. This is marketing slide, so I don't want to talk about that. That's the very enterprise thing. That's the big thing around that. This is not in the spirit of today's session. But I think very simply put, if you search for TYK, and I hope it's probably one of the, our marketing did some like good results around that. You probably know us as an open source API gateway, right? I think today we probably have about 9,000-ish, approaching 10,000 stars on GitHub. We've been used for since 2014, so that's about 10 years around that, right? And if you search for API gateways, you're probably one of the first few results around here. The best thing about this, of course, is that being open source, it's free, right? So I'll give you a good sense of what we do as a capability perspective, and what people like about us. So before I go, I think when I was speaking to some of the organizers, not everybody here is deep technical. Like, do I have a sense of like what roles you guys are? SREs, DevOps, front end, back end. Does anybody work with APIs? Wow, very nice, very nice. The kind of crowd that I like. Front end, back end, anybody who's like not technical. Okay, just a couple of people as well. So this section is for you, so that it's probably one of the most repeated sections whenever I meet someone for the first time, and just to explain it, it's the same explanation I use for my parents as well when I joined the company. So to go all the way back, right, how to explain what we do is imagine you are a beach resort owner, right? You own a huge resort. This is taken, I think this is Rhodes in our retreat last year at the startup. We gathered all together. So this is a retreat in Rhodes, and then you have multiple services in your resort, right? As a resort, all-inclusive resort as well. You have things like food services, restaurants. You have local tourism. You have massage. You have laundry. You have multiple kinds of services around there, right? And what you have on top are the people who are serving you guys, right? These are what we call interfaces towards these services, right? So the things that you consume below, right, the actual services that you get are, restaurants, tourism, massages, laundry, all this kind of stuff, other services, and then what we call APIs are the interfaces which you interact with, right? So people like the waiter, the front desk staff, right, who take in your requests, take in your laundry, take your bookings and all that kind of stuff. So that's all good and well. It looks very structured, right? But the thing is, you know, with a resort like that, right, and you have multiple tourists crawling around the beach, they could walk around everywhere, there probably are some problems around there. And I'm just going to summarize a couple of these, right? The beach resort problems. Things are when you, right, as a front desk staff, someone approaches you and says, I want to order this, charge it to my room, right? How do you know who they say they are, right? How do you know if they pay? What if they speak a different language, right? Maybe I don't speak Greek, right? And then how do you translate that, right? How often can they use a certain service? What's part of the package, right? And most of the time, it's really not on the guys at the front desk, of that service, right? The waiter to know if you pay. Are you in the all-inclusive section? Are you in the buffet section? Or are you in the a la carte session at all, right? So what we do as Tyk is we help centralize all of these services, right? And ensure that you have all of these as a single source of truth, which is basically what an API gateway does, right? To give you an analogy, we are simply the hotel concierge, right? For all the entry point services, right? So that's how I explained to my parents. They kind of understood that. The other analogies that I've given is nightclub bouncer, security guard, anything else that you can think of, right? Basically the first point of contact for any kind of things that you consume, right? But I found this to be the most appropriate analogy for today's session, right? Because nightclub bouncers don't sit very well with my parents. So, if you're starting to think about what the concierge does, right? Things that they do day to day, and you guys probably have traveled, or are at least well traveled enough. There are the people you go to in case of any problems, right? It's a single point of access. You check the access card, they give you the access card, and that identifies who you are, what you have, what you're entitled to. They do language translation as well, so if you don't speak, Korean or Japanese to the restaurant waiters, they do it for you, they do the translations for you, right? Anything from quotas, payments, and all the kind of stuff that you need to do, right, as an entry point towards your enjoyment in the resorts. That's what the concierge does. And so, in a very, very simplified way, if you guys are gonna go away, in the second half, not understanding anything that I've said in the second half, think of Tyk as the hotel concierge for all your APIs, right? That's the simplest way that you can take it to a friend, to someone who's non-technical to explain what we do. So, I've talked about that. That's a very simplified way. Whenever we have a new salesperson that's on board, that's how I explain what we do to them. But actually, when I speak to someone more technical, like a large majority of the audience over here, I often go to a slightly deeper depth, right? You guys are dealing with APIs. I think it's probably about 40% of the hands that I saw. So you guys know what APIs are. Likely you guys probably have heard of what API Gateway does, what API Gateway architecture does for you. But I'll just explain again. So I'll give a very simple example over here. So think of yourself as having a single service over here, maybe food delivery. In Singapore, breakfast is insanely popular, right? You have an app, and then you have a single order service around that. You have John ordering through a small app, and then you have customer support using a different app altogether, right? And then you have APIs, so you have interfaces, right? Post orders, get orders, put orders, all those kind of stuff. So when John makes an order, actually what he does is an API call towards a service, right? John, order number 1, ordering something from somewhere around there. Very simplified example, very dumbed down, right? The thing about this kind of setup is that it's inherently insecure. How do you know John is John, right? Mike, for example, right, if he knows where the endpoints are, he could impersonate John, right? Flood him orders, charge his credit card multiple times over, get it sent to his own place, either get it sent to someone else's places, right? So the thing is, it's kind of hard to understand who has placed an order without some sense of identity, right? And so what we generally do when we start, and trust me, I've done this in the first couple of projects myself, is I would say, let's do it myself, right? It's not easy, it's not difficult to give them a password, right? Maybe I'll just issue a username, John, maybe John at something.com, give them a key password, something, 32 characters or something like that. That works. So what we do, or what I did when I was in university, was I just built an authentication module myself. Why not, right? So simple, 32-digit string, everybody's unique. That's not going to be a big problem around that, right? Fair enough. That works. And trust me, I really did build one of those food ordering apps or food review apps when I was in university. And so what happens as a result of that is that when Mike tries to do it, not knowing what his password key is, he gets denied. So we've essentially secured our own services around that. Very nice, very cool, great for students as a side project to do that. That works. But I think the reality is when you build out more and more, and when I graduated from university, the reality is a lot bigger than what it seems to be, right? An application is not just ordering itself. There's users, there's a reward service, there's probably also a delivery guy's application, right? There are 3 types of applications for any kind of services, right? The delivery guy probably has his own app. The customer support has its own probably web application, not a mobile application. And it's just a consumer using its own, Grab Food, Foodpanda, Deliveroo app around there, right? It's messy, and you can see that everybody implements their own kind of, authentication around it. It's really hard to manage, right? And I think those with a lot more experience probably say, hey, MK, why don't you build an authentication service itself? Probably, right? The smart ones would say, take the authentication out, let's build a different box on the right or all the way to the left, and centralize that. It makes sense, but I think, there's a lot of things that we have to contend with, a lot of things that we think about, is that how do we be faster, right? First thing that we do is identify duplicates, centralize that. That seems to be the lowest hanging fruit. But then again, the secondary thinking is the authentication that I've implemented safe at all, right? What if 32 digits isn't enough? What if there are collisions, right? What if I generate 2 of the same? Can someone impersonate the other? Can someone brute force it? That kind of stuff, right? So, what can we do to be safer? And how much work does it need to take? Can I use something that someone has done before? Reduce the amount of time around that? And I think most importantly, right, that's just one part of the whole application, right? Things like I want to know trends, traffic trends, who's ordering what at what kind of time, analytics. Everything's just an API call because everything's just, towards your application is an API. I want to know who's ordering how much at what kind of time. I want to know if it's this side of the country, this side of town, all that kind of stuff, right? So there's a lot of smaller services that I kind of need to build around that. And how can I be faster around that? Because it's really cumbersome. As the more I think, the more difficult it is. And I think that's where I stumbled upon the concept of API database, and that's where I eventually joined Tyk, is that Tyk elegantly does these for you, right? Oh, I have a middle slide over here. What it looks like is basically a hotel concierge over here. Think of Tyk. It's a really simple concept, right? Putting something in front around that. Some people would say you probably could get away with using a firewall, load balancer to do that. Some do. Some load balancers can be repurposed to be gateways. Some firewalls can provide you some sense of identity as well. Levels and layers have an identity around them, right? But with Tyk, we provide simply as simple as possible an authentication service, right? We check if it's an authenticated user, it's a valid key that's not expired. We let the API traffic through, right? And that makes it a much clearer, less spider web kind of architecture. But that's not all that we do, right? There's a lot more that we try to address, right? Things like authentication, authorization, caching, mocking, quotas, all that kind of stuff. So it's something that I think as an open source software, we've developed quite far ahead, provide these kind of capabilities out there. Some of these look like this, right? Authentication, I talked about that, checking if they are who they say they are, right? Rate limiting, how often can they access a certain service? Transformation, basically language translation, rerouting, things like if an API is down, it can be routed to a different place, right? There's a lot more, and if I had to go on and on and on, it's probably a 3-hour session that I could talk about that, right? There's a lot more, and it's not exhaustive around that. But I think the message around here is that Tyk provides you a lot of capabilities that you could do for your APIs without having to build them yourself if you were just doing rethink about your architecture, right? Inserting this in between. And I think the most important thing, or at least the most popular thing that I've heard, aside from authentication on the far left, is analytics on the far right, really understanding the traffic patterns, the analytics of your users, understanding how often, what they want to access, all that kind of stuff. It eventually feeds into bigger decisions such as product analytics, right? Can I probably monetize some of that? And I can probably go on and talk more about how a lot of AI companies essentially think that AI management is API management, how they want to know which of their models are more popular, how do I charge more for that? Because everything's just an API call, right? And so simply put, this is just like a introduction as to what we do. It helps you a lot with your designs. It gets you a lot faster. Personally, in my experience, like anecdotally, introducing a solution like this reduces my time probably by about 30-40%, right? In terms of that, I can really focus a lot more on developing my application and business logic without having to think about all of these kind of considerations at all. So that's the really quick introductions, right? I don't want to talk more about a lot of the deeper stuff, but to show you guys what we do, I have prepared something really simple. In today's demo, I know, even though I know we have a lot of the concerns being open source, I'm going to use the enterprise version of Tyk. This is just basically a UI wrapped around the open source version, right? Just to clear some, demystify some of the questions around that. What's the difference between like the paid version and the open source version? The difference is just the UI, right? So whatever you could do with the open source gateway, right? You compile yourself, modify yourself. The capabilities are 100% the same. But for the sake of demo, to make things like easier, visually more attractive, I opted to just give you a run through in terms of what you can do from an API perspective. To help me, I will use everybody's favorite API tool, Postman over here. So what we could do, right, is let's see if I could just show a quick UI. So everything's just going to be interactive over here. Right, I could add a new API into my gateway. This is just the interface for that. Give it a name, maybe demo 24. Proxy to HTTP bin, everybody's favorite API. Set it as an external API. And what I can do is I can make a call to my gateway, which I posted locally, right? Demo 24 slash get. Right? Oh, thank you for the suggestion. That makes my life a lot easier. So over here, I'm just proxying the traffic through directly, and you can see that that works over here. You know, in your gateway, right? In the open source gateway as well, same capabilities that you have. What you could do is you could simply prevent that, you know, any kind of hijacking by Mike through the use of, you know, authentication. We support all the industry standard authentications as part of the open source software. So if you want to implement OAuth, OpenID, job tokens as well, good. I'm going to use like basic authentication token that's generated by Tyk. Give it a identifier, authorization over here, save, and you can see that your API is immediately protected, right? So it's immediate, you don't have to do any like reboots around that. You could do that with the same open source one. And key provisioning is kind of simple. So everything can be managed via an API call, right? So with these, all you have to do is include the keys that you want to generate for whichever APIs. Like I want to do a rate limit of 3 calls per 10 seconds, right? Just because this is like a development environment. Give the key a name, demo key, and put an expiry of 1 hour later, right? So I can create a key, an API key, right? Simple key like that you can use it by API Gateway. So let me remove this one. I'll use my header. And paste my API key inside of that. And there you go. You can make an API call like that, right? So your users, whoever have an API key, can have access to that. And if for whatever reason you want them to be rate limited, oops, did I actually configure the correct ones? Let's see. Update that. Something broke over here. Yeah, there you go. So we have rate limit activity over here. Right, so it's kind of simple to get started with that. You can do all the same with the open source gateway. So to get started, right, I'm just going to include some steps. Right, all you have to do is to go to our repo, right, git clone, change to the folder, and then just do a Docker compose up to get started. I've included a QR just to make it easier so that you can copy the URL or take any photos around that. But it's insanely simple to do and insanely easy to scale out. A lot of our customers who have not moved on to the enterprise product use it in production as well, so you can trust it to do the work for a lot of your basic needs. So just as a final word, right? Think of Tyk like as a Swiss Army knife, right? We provide quite a lot of features, authentication, rate limiting, quotas, analytics, all that kind of stuff. The main aim of having an API gateway or embracing that architecture is to help lift the load off the shoulders. In my words, I think it's probably about 30%, 40% of the work I do that's taken off from development, right? So you could focus a lot more in terms of implementing the order services, user services, delivery services around that. And most of all, I think most people's favorite word, it's free of charge. So I'll just leave you with a QR code. If you want to have a copy of the slides, the material, all the kind of stuff, you can scan it, get it as well. I think it's just Google form. And if you want to have like a deeper discussion in terms of what you can do, reach out to me, or you can reach out to my local contact, Angeline over there. Okay, so that's it. I don't have too much. I am on time. Right, thank you.
Thank you. Oh yeah, questions. Alright, anyone have any questions for MK? No songs please, but yeah. Right. So we do have a few. First we'll take the gentleman over there.
It's okay. You mentioned that the enterprise one is just a UI wrapper around the open source, but is there a difference in the licensing? Meaning, can you use the open source one commercially, or is
Yes, you can.
You can.
Yeah.
What strategies for enterprise version? What strategies are there? Oh, so you can answer. Right. So my question is, what strategies for enterprise version does it use to optimize the API performance in the load balancing?
Oh, right. So the truth is, right, the open source version and the enterprise version are 100% the same. The only difference is that the enterprise version has a nice UI that makes you learn faster to do things. So there's no difference around that. So everything that we provide as a capability, including the load balancers, are already available over there. So there's no better load balancer that we provide out there. Everything you get is the best that we offer over there. Yeah.
For analytics, do you have docs and traces? And also can you use for stress testing or integration testing?
Yes. So the question was, do we support traces, logs, metrics? I think essentially open telemetry. Is that where you're going with? And the second part to that is, can we use Tyk for stress testing? Right. So I'll answer that in reverse order first. Firstly, yes, you can do that. We do have an open source benchmarking tool. We used to use Ansible for load testing, and then we moved to K6, which is Grafana K6 around there. Essentially, right, since open source and enterprise version is the same, the thing that we notice is just CPU intensive, it's not RAM intensive. So if you wanna have, like, say, 2,000 requests per second, it's just gonna be 2 vCPUs. It's an example, right? And if you want to do 4,000, double it, right? 4 vCPUs. If you want to double it again, add more CPUs for that. If you want to, double it again, maybe consider horizontally scaling around that. So essentially, it's as infinite as you can go, as many resources that you throw at it. You can use it for stress testing. I think my peak record for that was around, I think I was trying to build a rocket engine on it. It was around 25,000 requests per second on a core machine. So it was one of the AWS, I think, C5 instances around that. We hit 25,000 requests on a single gateway itself. So in terms of observability, audit logs, all that kind of stuff, so we do have that as well. So we've actually introduced open telemetry around that. So in the first part we do is we are able to export traces and spans. So as an open standard, right? So you could send it to some vendors that are very popular. Elastic, New Relic, Datadog, even open source one. I think you guys heard of Jaeger as well. You could use that as well. So you could send all these traces out there. The thing on our roadmap, and you could see our public roadmap, is that we're going to integrate that with metrics and logs in the next iteration of open telemetry integration.
Do you have one more for the phone?
Do you have a Terraform provider for this? Yes. So I think in where most of things are going, we provide the most popular ones are now like Helm charts. So because a lot of our users are moving towards Kubernetes, so we used to have Terraform one. I honestly do have to say that it's a little bit outdated at this point of time. The one that we maintain.
Yes, it is. I checked on the GitHub.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of outdated, right? And it's kind of even being very kind around that, I think it's very outdated. But our most preferred ones actually is arm charts.
The second question is how's time compared to FPGs? I just want to understand more about that.
Right. So I think the difference with FPG, right? FPG is more business-led. Just to share a little bit more. So they have a lot more of analytics in terms of consumer. First, they were built with the businesses in mind to understand product metrics, product analytics around that. Whereas Tyk had a lot more of a developer roots. So if you use us enough, you kind of understand that we build it with a lot of flexibility, a lot of programmability, and extensibility around that. So it is a little bit, less competitive in terms of like user-based end user consumer analytics, but we are a lot more developer friendly in terms of extensibility, right? You can extend us with any programming language. A lot of our like rewriting routing capabilities are highly programmable. So I think it's just appealing to different segments or different users, right? Depending on what kind of problems you're trying to solve. Yes, so the question over here was, do we accept open source contribution? Yes, as with everything, and everything that you find it within all our repositories. If you find a bug, misspelling, anything at all, just open a PR, mark me inside, I'll just check it and we'll just merge it into our repos. So yes, we do. I think, except the UI stuff, everything is just open source for us. Oh, I might need your help to just repeat that again.
There's no usage limits for the free version, like the open source version.
None at all.
So there's no like a bandwidth limit or like the number of requests could be just like unlimited.
None at all. So no data gets sent to us as well. So horizontally scaling, vertical scaling, as many as you want. Use it to the limit.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you. Okay, alright. Moving on with our agenda. Okay, so this is a very, so they say like a special talk for me personally. So this guy that I known, not for a long time, but honestly a very short time, but when honestly became very close. But then okay, that's not what I'm pointing out to here. But he, wherever he goes, whichever community meetup that he goes, he asks so many questions to speakers until they get tired. And then just say, hey, I'm going to give up to this guy. Alright? So this time around, let's turn the table, okay? I want you guys, after his talk, to give as many questions as possible to him. Okay, so without further ado, let's invite Nick.
Hello everyone. So I'm going to Buzzcorner over here today and no questions, okay? So today we're talking about two different products actually. It's more like the close to CNC that are open source basically, and it's quite close to some of the products which were open source and now they're closed source now. Right, so yep, that's the first one. So we got two products. First one. Yeah, the first one is bulk key we're going to be talking about today. Now, how many of you are using Redis over here? I'm expecting a lot of people. Not you, Con.
Are you using Redis?
How many of you are using Redis over here? Fine. Okay, right. And how many of you are using in the enterprise, not just using on a daily basis?
Production.
Not you, Quan. Okay, alright. So, as you know, that it has been closed source now, and yeah, if you want to go to Redis, you can join Devils Malaysia. No, not here. Yeah, so bulk key is another fork of Redis basically, which was initiated by one of the engineer at AWS named, if I'm not mistaken, Olsen? Yeah, Madeline Olsen, she's the one who initiated it and forked it so that the open source community doesn't have to rely on Redis anymore. Because as you know, lately some of we can take Elasticsearch also, which went to closed source and then coming back to open source. That's why. So recently, Barcade released another version, 8.0, as the first major release, and Linux Foundation is looking after to take this project under the CNCF, but still it's under consideration at the moment. Yeah, so if you want to check out, you can go to barkey.io and get a look around how Barkey's working. It's working exactly like Redis, but with some extra features, which we're going to get into it right now. Yeah, and who is behind Barkey? Barkey, AWS, Google, Oracle Cloud, Oracle, I mean, not Cloud, Oracle, and Ericsson is also behind, and yeah, they are all contributing to Barkey at the moment, and they are trying to promote this so that people can get along and with the open source community. So let's look at the Barkey comparison with Redis. Yes, I think as I might have been waiting for this one. Licensing community. So Redis has transitioned from the open source to the closed source, and you might be aware they were not really unexpectedly going in that direction, causing a lot of hassle within the community. So that's why Redis Barkey decided to go with something like BSD3 closed licensing, which means that now you can take Barkey and use it into your enterprise solution without paying a single penny or a pound. Yep. Performance and scalability. Redis is known for performance, right? Yeah, but Barkey aims to push the boundaries further, of course, by using multi-threading, scalability features. So I'm not going to push benchmarks over here, but you might need to look into that one on your own. But yeah, just trying to promote the open source products within the community right now. Yeah. So Barkey also supports something called cluster failover, which is now a scalability thing, which you can also look into it, offering a seamless experience for everyone around here. And then talking about observability and monitoring, Barkey does have observability options available within the Barkey itself, which means that you also can rely on the product to get to your metrics. And I'm not sure about Redis because I haven't really much used it, to be honest. But yeah, it also provides some basic sort of telemetry stuff, but you might need to look into it. Coming to memory, okay, this is the most important part actually. What makes Barkey a little bit different than Redis is they're using something called RDMA, which is it's like a remote direct memory access, allowing you, okay, this is a little bit of the technical stuff over here, which is you don't ask the CPU to access the memory, it automatically accesses for you, which means faster caching, faster access to the memory. This is one of the good features of Barkey, and you can give it a try yourself. Written in C, basically. No Ross, alright? Just make sure. Yep. So Redis does not support RDMA at the moment, but I think there is someone who has written a wrapper around RDMA, if I'm not mistaken, for Redis. But you might need to make sure you can check it out yourself, though. Supporting and the other backers, of course, again, Barkey is supported by AWS, Google, open source community, Snapping, and Ericsson. So I would say that go ahead, give it a try to Barkey, and let us know. It's open to all the contributions. I don't know how many of you are open source contributors over here, so give it a try, and let's try to make this open source community as much wider as possible, because we know that the organizations sometimes they try to, after a certain period of time, they do close source some of the products, which is a big problem for all of us. So go ahead, try using it, and also give your feedback on the Barkey. Yep. Coming next is the next product, which is OpenSearch. Yep. Right, just a moment. Okay. Yep. OpenSearch basically is just another fork of Elasticsearch. Now, you might be wondering why exactly when Elasticsearch is open source already, right? Now, recently, if you remember, Elasticsearch, not only Elasticsearch, even Kibana, they both went closed source because of the licensing thing. And of course, a lot of enterprise had to pay for it to use it into their companies. Then AWS was already having a fork called OpenSearch, which was a fork of Elasticsearch basically. So what they're trying to do is that they said, okay, no, as Elasticsearch itself as an entity is going with the closed source, why not we make it with something more available for the community and other people to work around? So that's where OpenSearch came in. Now, Linux Foundation is still looking into it. It's not CNCF certified, yet to be certified. I've even incubated, it's not even incubated to be honest, by CNCF. So, still more like under observation, you could say, but definitely worth a try, and we're going to look into the statistics of it. But most of the project team is handled by Amazon at the moment, and the whole project is also being covered by Amazon itself, but however, it is open to all the PRs. You can go to the GitHub of OpenSearch and you're going to find it easily. Apart from no licensing, of course, that means that you can use this particular product into your enterprise without any problem, and allowing you to have a flexibility and achieve all the open source code available for you. So, in order to look for it, what you can do, you can go to opensearch.org and you can find the product over there. I mean, it's GitHub though. Yeah. So, looking a little bit into statistics. Yeah, OpenSearch features, just a little bit. Again, no benchmarks are going to be given over here, just a little bit of the overview of how OpenSearch features looks like at the moment. Okay, integrated search engine. So OpenSearch has a built-in features such as full text query, autocomplete, recommendation-based, on relationship within data. Built-in security features. I'm not sure Elasticsearch has it because I think they were using some sort of plugin if I'm not mistaken, but I'm still not sure. So, OpenSearch had its own secure authentication protocol. It also supports SAML and other few others, the authentication method, which is built into the OpenSearch. Then we're talking about monitoring. It does come with its own monitoring tools. I mean, it integrated within it, of course, itself. When you have something like Elasticsearch, you need a monitoring tool anyway. So, yeah, but they provided you within the solution itself. Yeah. Analytics. So, you can analyze your OpenSearch deployments. There are some integrated tools available, but you might need to play around a little bit. And you might get to know some of the features available. But here's the thing, because you might find a little bit of bugs at the same time too, because it's still under production. It's going on through the stages. Not yet fully released, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, some of the features are still in, or OpenPR might be available over there. Last but not least, of course, open source. It's all open source. The main aim for us is to make people aware of the open source product like Barkey and OpenSearch. Yeah, so that was all it's all about. That we want the community to come in and collaborate with Barkey and OpenSearch itself, improve the product. I mean, we don't want to rely on the enterprises. So because otherwise, how much are you going to pay in the end? Like, I think half of us are already paying for Microsoft Word and whatnot. And then you're also paying for the other services, so it's better to hire engineers and get the job done, relying on the open source code. Yep, so I think that's all from my end. Any questions?
This is my favorite part. Questions, anyone? Come on, throw it at him. Throw it at him.
Have you used any of this?
OpenSearch, a little bit, yes. No, not Barkey. I haven't used it because never came across it, to be honest. Yeah, but because we're part of CNCF, we're trying to promote it. That's why we want people to push in the open source contribution. I myself, I'm a contributor to Ansible, so that's why I encourage people to do some open source contribution to the product. So yeah, me personally.
We're using OpenSearch.
Pardon?
We're using OpenSearch.
Are you using it already? Oh, perfect. Yeah. To be honest, the thing is that Elasticsearch is not bad. It's really good. But here's the problem. When someone leaves the open source community and then comes back, the point of the coming back is the problem, because you have to break the licensing and then you're coming back into it, which makes it a lot of companies unstable. To be honest, if you're a startup right now and you're using Elasticsearch, I think it's all right. You're good to go. But again, we want the community to stay as open source as possible so that people can utilize and gain the power available openly rather than enterprise charging for every single thing. So try to use open source technologies, improve them, contribute to them so that we all can gain benefits out of it. Yeah. Any more questions? Any other questions from the floor?
Okay, all right.
All right. Okay then. Just another last thing I want to address over here is that please contribute to the open source, because we want to escape the corporate world. The aim is to escape the corporate world. Do not rely on paying the salt to the corporate world, and because they will, in the end, when they close source whenever they want to, making a product as an enterprise product, which, okay, maybe you can pay for it, but again, it's not a viable option for a lot of other companies to go along with it. That's why. So, open source all the way. All right. Yeah, that's all.
All right, thank you, Nick. Thank you. Okay, hope it was fruitful for anyone. For anyone who does not know, so Nick actually does is the SRE. So he does this end-to-end in Deloitte right now. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to just ask it later on. All right. Okay, so next time. Alright, so let's move on to our next. Okay, so this one is maybe a little bit different. Any one of you guys want to share something, maybe like 5 minutes or so? Anything that you have in mind or anything that you're working on? We are open. Anyone wants to give it a try? You can just come over here, tell the story a little bit, what you guys do. Oh, okay. Oh, you have a volunteer over there. We actually have a volunteer. Okay, big round of applause to him. Okay, this is unexpected, but let's see what it delivers. Okay.
Yeah, so unexpected. We definitely didn't rehearse before this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he asked me to do intro, but I will do intro in a bit because the intro is in the slides. So if you guys are in PyCon this year, you guys should hear this lightning talk. But if you haven't, you're in luck because you'll be listening from me. So the title of the talk today is actually, if there's no open data, you just scrape it or you just make the open data. So I'm Kwang, that's my full name, but just call me Kwang. So I'm a volunteer at Malaysia Land Public Transport Fence, abbreviated as MLPTF. So a little bit about me, I'm a DevOps engineer at Infinite. Currently we are selling a product called TalkUp. And also I'm a community at the fan club and also a community ambassador at Infinite. So the story. So before 2019, as you can see, I'm right over there when I was quite slim. There was no open data regarding public transit, which means nothing at all. So Google Maps had to be updated via only one way, which is Prasarana had to update, has to tell Google, oh, this is the new route, and Google will then update it. If Prasarana don't care, then which means we will get very, very outdated data. So that's why I joined Moveit as a community ambassador. This is one of the Meetup. And yeah, so we input all of the public transit routes and everything. So because of that, I had an understanding of various protocols like GTFS or various JSON on how to represent data. So that's why when RabbitKL later on they released a website, I started this thing called the Jejak project. So Jejak in Malay, it means trail, right? So this basically is trails of all, or not all, like part of our public transit infrastructure. So back in year 2020, if I remember correctly, RabbitKL introduced the kiosk website. So it's still live now. You can go to this website and then you can see where the buses there, and then you can just search the particular route and you can see how much the route covers, where the bus is. So I went to this website, and you know, being a dev, I did what all devs will do, right? I press F12. So I go inside and then I look at the code, and then after some analysis, right, I found that okay, one, they run on WebSockets, and second, the best thing is the payload that at that time is written in JSON format. And also the best thing is that not much validation is done on input. So as you can see the screenshot over down there, you can just send something like SID, something random string. I did try many strings, I still don't understand what it is. UID something, and the provider there is like RapidKL, RKL for RapidKL, RKN for Rapid Quantan, RPN for Rapid Penang, and so on. And the root there, it can be an empty string. So I don't know how they code their thing, but if you put an empty string there, they return everything to you. So why not? I'm like, okay, let's just capture them, right? So I spent the weekend figuring how to use MongoDB because I don't want to really figure out what is the data schema at that time, because everyone told me that, oh, MongoDB, you don't need to know about the schema. Okay, fine. Then I tried reading MongoDB, and then I'm very close to that at that time. I'm like year 3, so I just run everything back in my hostel. It's like a Raspberry Pi, and the repo is there. So if you want to go and look around, why not? So at the end of 2021, the problem is my Raspberry Pi is getting very full, and then my final year project is complete. So that's why I got some time to do whatever I want to do. So I still don't know what to do with the data. Because for 1 month of the data is about 12 gig heavily normalized. So what does this mean is that I don't record every single change of the data. I just record when it changes. So I can get I can use a very small storage to store quite a lot of data. But still, with that, I still have about 50 million rows of coordinates per month, and that is also being caused by Pasarana or RapidKL having a fleet of about 4,000 buses throughout Malaysia. So being a millennial, I capture stuff and screenshot stuff and put it on my Instagram story, so that's my Instagram story. So I don't know what to do with the data, so I figured someone else would do it better than me, so I put it in Kaggle. You can look it at Kaggle, so just feel free to download it. Okay, so 5 days later of the initial upload to Kaggle, the pipeline basically broke. So I don't know what happened. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's Pasarana blocking me already. The project, I haven't even started analyzing everything. So after going through the code, I realized, okay, I'm too skeptical. They don't want to block me. They just want to save in their AWS cost. No, they're not using AWS. They're using Azure. So I realized I'm too skeptical. They just compress all of their single requests. So I found this in the HTML code and then copy, and then things just continue. I fixed it. So interestingly, the new change is what is the format that I have been publishing in Kaggle. So yeah, that's worked for me. So as you can see, there's a receive, there's latitude, longitude, blah blah blah, the direction, bus stop ID and captain ID. So at our club, right, we have a lot of crazy people. They will go around sitting buses just for fun, from end to end, and they will basically listen to the bus engines. They will smell the bus exhaust. I don't know for what reason. And they will record every single thing, like, oh, which bus driver has this particular phase, I like this bus driver, I don't like this bus driver. This bus driver currently changed route, I don't know where it changed. Yeah, those are crazy people. So yeah, so I basically wanted them to map all the bus stop ID to captain ID, and then later on I can do something like a rating system for the bus drivers, but I'm too busy-ish. But yeah. So proof of concept results, Grafana is sponsored today, right? Yeah, I use Grafana for this. So I've been able to get bus trails and display it in Grafana. So Grafana has this dashboard for trails, but I don't have a screenshot now. So I also do it at my site. It's in very early beta that I abandoned it long time ago. So because of that, bus driver distance over a month can be seen. I got many metrics. So yeah, so because this slide is prepared for PyCon, and during PyCon there was this organization called the SINA project. So SINA project is basically an organization that does what we call civic tech. So they will ask people to capture data from the public, to capture data from the government, do analysis, and then let everyone know what is happening. Okay? So yeah, I will need volunteers. If you want a volunteer to analyze, feel free to come and find me. Okay, so yeah, being a dev, very itchy backside dev, I will do a second project, even my first project I haven't finished, right? So, me being me, I did a second project, which is the MLTTF community site. Okay, so why did this project start? It's because there are many questions raised. Why is the wait time for LRT and MRT so long? Like previously, when I was a student, a secondary student, the wait time for LRT and MRT is about 1 minute once during peak hours. But why is it so long now? Are we using our line for full potential, and why are these trains so crowded? So, a group of enthusiasts, those crazy enthusiasts that I said previously, decided to track them using the traditional way of Google Sheets. And these enthusiasts, as I say, are crazy people that can literally sit at the stations for an entire day watching trains pass by. So they say, oh, this train passed by, or this train I haven't seen it for 3 days, and they record it down. Previously in their notepad, but now they record down in their Google Sheets, and then later on, which is my project, I allow them to record this thing. So I approach them. So I said, I'm a dev, you need a system, I need a project, I do system maintain data, you. Okay, so I did it. So the site was born, and then submissions were done, and then we were able to make a conclusion of the change in service. So as you can see, this is one of it. It's the LRT Kuala Lumpur line, which spans from Putra Heights to Gombak. Oops. Yeah. So we can see that how many trains are in total, how many trains are in service, not spotted, out of service, and then we separate based on the train models. So we have a Bombardier, Nova, the old one, and then, so interestingly, right, the merit coaches that are actually 2-car trains that Rapid KL decided, okay, let's make a 4-car train, and then they just joined 2 cars together, and it became 4 cars. So I think they did it for a few sets, and then later on they realized probably it's too expensive, so they stopped it. Okay, so what? So after we did this, right, during the introduction of the women's only coach for MRT Kajang line, we were the ones to be against the policy with a very solid reason, because at that time of introduction, right, it was only about 35 trains available. So if you introduce a women's only coach, you are basically like reducing the number of train capacity available. So just to be clear, we are not against women's coach, we are against the timing of rolling out this thing. Yeah. So we were able to say that, okay, according to our statistics, this is not the time that people will get congested at the main stations, and that is what happened. So I think our government will listen to us, but never mind. And the second thing is, we were able to see how trains evolve over the years and the current statuses. So like, for example, 101 is, I think, MRT Kajang line. You can see the first station in service, and then those people will basically record, okay, this, they have good wheels, flat wheels, when it returns to service. Yeah, I know the US is very shit, but I'm trying to revamp it. Okay, and also, so what? We can also see the status of the entire line over time. So how many trains are in service, how many trains are in decommission over time. Yeah. And we started to get greedy and started to record breakdowns. So we have another small side-ish project. It's called the incident project. We basically recorded each failures of the lines, and then in the future we will assign a score, and then from there we can see that, okay, how healthy is this line over the month or over the week, so on and so forth. So as you can see, during the screenshot of this thing, there is what we call a long-term incident. So if you remember correctly, at the LRT Ampang line and the Sri Petaling line, there's actually cracks in the pillars, right? And they actually used quite some time to fix it. So we tracked it here, and then in the end, I think they took about 1 year plus to fix the entire thing. But yeah, something is recorded here instead of like what Prasarana is releasing right now. So the way Prasarana is doing it right now, right, is that they update the site probably every week or every time they feel like it. But the problem is there's no history on it. So you can only see the latest status. So me being the Ichiban, okay, that's not in the slides there. Me being an Ichiban, we discovered this thing called the Internet Wayback Machine. You can basically submit a request to the Wayback Machine and request them to archive this site at this particular time. So I did a script and requested it every day. So the idea was that later on, when I'm free enough, I can analyze back these websites, and then I can produce the graph that I did just now. So Conclusion of this is, more of the story is their enthusiasm is almost everything in the world. Find them, let them be your users. It's very bad to say, but basically you're using them and they are using you. You're using them for the data because you need a real world application. Please don't, if you're starting out, right, please don't do something like a Google app and then you use it for your own self for fun and then you don't have any real world usage. You can't learn anything from that. So find those enthusiasts that be your users. And the second is do what you do best, which in this case is, for me, is coding. Leave the rest to others. So groundwork and data analysis is not for me. I probably will ask someone, okay, you have data analysis background, just do it for me. As such, there is actually no such thing as a wasted effort. Some people will say that, okay, I create this, who will use it? It will eventually use it. Someone will eventually discover this thing and they will use it. So the thing that I found out is that actually there are some parliamentarians that use our data as something to say in the parliament, to say that, okay, this policy is good, this policy is no good. And I don't know if we had a contribution on it or not, but it basically forced Prasanna to also release a version of their statistics. So from there, it's also beneficial to us because we can compare it with them and say that, okay, how accurate is our data? If crowdsourcing is rendered the viable solution at all. And of course, the last thing is to just do it. And that's all from me. Thank you all for listening. Connect with me in the LinkedIn, GitHub, and scan the QR code for this side. I'll do this one for now. I'll just leave this on. Really? Can you freeze this thing? Oh, okay, never mind. All done?
Okay, alright. Everyone took a picture?
Okay, thank you everyone.
Alright, thank you, Paul. Okay, let's move forward.
Question? Anyone with any question?
The crazy people that you talked about, like the people that helped you like collect data, where did you find them?
Okay, so the short story is that I joined Movit as a community ambassador. So those people, because these kind of communities basically overlap each other. So you can see people at CNCM, you can see them in DevOps, you can see them in probably GVG. It's also the same thing in the train and enthusiast community. So when I was joining Movit, those people come in and I'm like, okay, what community are you doing? Oh, MLPTF. So I just joined in and later on I became a community member. And then it's really bad to say, but we have quite a few people with ADHD. So they really are, when they want to focus on something, they will really focus on it and remember everything. So if you support their hobby, then they will be very loyal to you and your system.
I happen to be one of them, someone with ADHD. Second question would be like, did you like pay them or like did they just do it like for free? Like,
all of us do this for free. Actually, I pay Oracle Cloud every month like $1 to use their cloud storage.
if I like need any like beta testers for our product, do you like happen to have a community that would be happy to be a beta tester and like we do like have some benefits for them, but not as many. So it needs to be like an intrinsic motivation. So if you have people like that, then you could hook me up with them, that would be great.
I mean, we can discuss on that later. Any more questions? Any other questions from the floor?
Calling once, calling twice. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Paul. Alright, let's move forward. Don't worry, we are somewhat at our end. Alright. Okay, so before we move forward with the moment that you guys have been waiting for, vouchers, alright. So we want to call for speakers for the next event, which will be on October 21st. I think, if I'm not wrong, over here, don't quote me out, it should be at Microsoft's office in KL Central. Okay, so content will be regarding this. Just take a picture if you guys are interested, Anything on open source or anything related to that will be very much useful. Okay? So this is a really good one, or big one I should say. Scan the QR code. Someone or basically getting all access pass to KubeCon. Alright, KubeCon and Cloud Native Con. As you guys know, this is not cheap at all, okay? Alright, so if you guys get the opportunity, just try, apply for it. Everything will be based out in India. All right. So try it. You guys will take a picture. Okay. All right. These opportunities generally will come. All right. Okay. So let's move on. So if you are looking out for any kind of sponsors and kind of venue in the future. So if you know anyone, basically any of your friends or anything, please reach out to us. We need that very well. We hope to serve you better information, better venue. I think this is really good one, but still we want something to be better, especially for Setel. Thank you. All right, and better crowd too as well. Okay, for any feedback, please do leave it over there. All right, and thank you everyone. I would like to say thank you so much to everyone here today, for giving your time, and a big round of applause to everyone. Okay, thank you.